Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, I just watched the next episode of Riverdale. So, today we are going to do the react and review, I guess, of it. And just like last time, I took notes while watching the episode. You guys can see my notes? Nope. Okay, well, I took notes. It's a glare though. So, let's get into it. First, I'm going to start with the synopsis. So, this episode was called Chapter 81, The Homecoming. It's the fifth episode of the fifth season, and it premiered February 17th, 2021. When you see this video, it will be February 18th, though. So, the fight for Riverdale High. Tony, Alice, Archie, and Kevin fight to keep Riverdale High's doors open after learning that its budget had been cut by Hiram Lodge. Veronica gets creative when she discovers Chad is having her followed. Jughead starts a new job after debt collectors show up in Riverdale. So, this episode was actually really good because it's technically the second episode of season 5 because the first 3 episodes of season 5 were left over from season 4 until episode 4 was basically the premiere of season 5. So episode 4 kind of felt like a pilot episode. It was kind of reintroducing us to these characters that even though we had known them for 4 years, we were being reintroduced to them as 25-year-olds instead of teenagers. And so it was kind of giving us the backstory and where they've been, and then they all came back to Riverdale at the end of the episode. In this episode, they're actually all together, which is super exciting. So we actually get to see them all react, because in the last episode, talking about the core 4, the only one who ever says anything to Archie that we can see like face to face is Veronica. So let's get into it. So this episode picked up right after the last episode ended, so they were still sitting in pots and they were talking. So after Archie kind of explains why they're there, and Tony's of course with them. And Jughead also gets to narrate again because he did not narrate in episode 4, which I really wish there was a narration in episode 4, like kind of him like saying where they were. But this episode actually has the narration that was said in the promo for episode 4, which says that Archie was in the army and he was a published writer, and Betty was an FBI agent, and then Veronica was married. Which I'm glad that, because everyone was like, it was always shown that Archie was joining the army, Betty was going to be an FBI agent, and Jeff had become a writer, or he was going to be a writer. But with Veronica, all we knew about her was that she was married. But it's good to know that she's not just the typical wife. So after they talk, they then split off, and Betty and Jughead have a talk, which I was super excited for, seeing them talk, and it looks very awkward. We can see they're both still very in love with each other, but apparently Jughead left Betty a voicemail right before his book signing of his book that he wrote, and that's why she didn't show up. So they should have seen each other since they graduated, but because of the voicemail, she never showed up, and we don't know what was on that voicemail. So then Veronica and Archie talk, and Archie said that the last relationship he had was with Veronica. So, that was really cute. Their talk wasn't as awkward, but so Alice is back in this episode. So she was not in episode 4, but she is back in this episode, and she does now own the house. I'm saying, like, it still hasn't been said if Gladys still owns a house, but why would Alice live in a house that Gladys still owns? So I'm thinking that when Gladys left, FP gained control of the house, and then when FP left, Alice regained it. Well, apparently Polly is out of the crazy house. I don't actually think she was in the crazy house. She was like at a hospital, but she's back. She's living with Alice, and so are the twins. So the twins no longer live with the Blossoms. I don't know if they no longer live with the Blossoms because once Polly got out of the insane asylum, that she regained custody of the twins, or if Alice got the twins from Cheryl, because we know Cheryl hasn't visited town, so that's why the twins aren't with her, and so all of that. So then we see Betty and Kevin packing up the FBI lab that Charles was working out of, that has apparently everything that he left when he was arrested is still there after 7 years. So it's just been sitting there for 7 years. So apparently Charles kept files on Betty's whole family, and we knew he had taped their conversations, and he kept those recordings. And she listens to the tape of her calling Polly as Edgar, because Polly was calling Betty as the Black Hood. So then we see Veronica talking with her father, and they have a very tense relationship. And apparently Hiram did not tell Veronica that he sold La Bonne Nuit, which I don't think he had the right to, because technically it was Veronica owned it. But I guess when she left town, he owned it. And it also learns that he doesn't actually own Lodge Industries anymore, and that Hermosa actually took the business to Miami, which actually makes no sense, because Veronica owned part of Lodge Industries, but I guess she gave them up when she went to college. But Hermosa actually overtook her father. I don't know if we're ever going to see Hermosa again, but she's in Miami. So then Jughead is having a drink at the White Farm, and he asks Tony for a job, but Tony says she shouldn't hire him. And then we find out that the Serpents actually hate Jughead. Apparently they think he mocked them in the book and everything. It was a book he wrote, because we know his book was about his life in Riverdale, and apparently he mocked them. And Tony is upset about it. She is still friends with Jughead, but Fangs and Sweet Pea are really mad at him. And that might be one of the reasons why he was no longer a serpent and no longer king. So Tony doesn't give him a job. So going back to Veronica, she actually asked her father to let her back into the company, but that doesn't turn out well. So then Archie reveals that he is going to restart the ROTC at Riverdale High. And then Tony reveals, or Kevin, one of them reveals, that Riverdale High might actually be closing. Oh, no, it's Weatherby. He's talking to Weatherby, and Weatherby says that Riverdale High might be closing, and then it's revealed that it is the Monday before school. Or school starts on Monday. So it's only a couple days before school starts. So I'm saying it's about August, September is when this is happening. So then we see Jughead is at Pops, and he's talking to Tabitha, and he asks Tabitha for a job. And Tabitha says that she's not going to run this business like her grandfather did, which means that people actually have to pay, because we know that that people didn't always pay for the bills, especially Jughead, and that he can't use the free Wi-Fi, and she's not like Pop. So then Hiram tries to bribe Tony about giving scholarships to all of her kids at Riverdale High to go to Stonewall Prep in exchange for her backing down from the fight. Well, Tony tells him to shove it. So then Archie and Betty talk for a little bit. He's spying on the ghoulies from her room. So it's then revealed that Reggie actually... So Archie ends up going to talk to Sheriff Keller because he wants to get back his house. But it turns out Reggie actually is running the Sodale police force, and they're all corrupt, including Reggie, which I really hope they don't keep Reggie this way, because they worked so hard to make Reggie a good guy, and I don't want that to just disappear. So I really hope Reggie becomes a good person again and decides to join the fight to save Riverdale High, because they're his friends. And honestly, I think one of the reasons, which tends to happen in shows like this, I think one of the reasons Reggie's being mean to his friends and not trying to save his high school and the town with them is because he's he's upset that they left him, and they all went to these hoity-toity universities like Carnegie Mellon, Yale, Barnard, Highsmith, or joined the army, and he was stuck in Riverdale. So then Smithers is back. Apparently he is back at the Pembroke. Now, when we see Hiram, we never actually see him at the Pembroke, so he might not live at the Pembroke anymore because technically it was in Hermione's name, so she might have kicked him out. So he tells Veronica that someone is following her, and Veronica knows it's her husband Chad. So she decides to go back to her blonde wig Veronica, the one she wore when she was trying to see Archie while he was in juvie. So then, back at the Cooper house, Polly is back. So this episode actually had the actress who plays Polly back. I don't really know her name, Tira something. She's in that new show Nurses, which is why she might not be in many episodes of Riverdale. But Polly is back, and Polly and Betty actually get to talking, and Betty wants to be her sister again, and she apologizes for everything that happens at the farm and all that. But Polly never actually apologizes to Betty. And Polly is supposed to be the older sister, and she never acted like one. Well, then it's revealed that Polly actually works at the Roving Eye as a waitress, so she's not doing so good. So then apparently Archie thinks that Jughead is living in the Five Seasons because he's a famous author, but he's actually living in Stilton Doyley's bunker, and he's in serious debt, like $9,000 in debt. And he's just telling his friends lies because I guess he doesn't want them to feel sorry for him. So then Archie gets Reggie to come over to try to get the ghoulies out of his house because he knows they're stealing, and Reggie probably knows that too, but because the ghoulies are basically run by Hiram, because we know that Hiram was in charge of Fizzle Rocks, and the ghoulies last time was all Hiram. Reggie tipped them off, or it's speculated that Reggie actually tipped off the ghoulies so they could hide the drugs, and when he gets there, all the drugs are gone, and Archie knows that Reggie tipped them off. Reggie has turned into a douche. Like, he's not a good guy anymore. It's also revealed, Archie sees this right before he leaves, that Polly actually works for the ghoulies as a stripper, as a drug dealer, who knows, but she's with the ghoulies. So then the debt collectors actually show up at Pops, and Jughead actually gets Tabitha to cover for him, and Pop sees how bad it is, and Tabitha ends up giving Jughead a job as a waiter. So then it's also revealed that Reggie either owns his own car dealership or took over from his father. But Veronica tries to get him to sell her car so that it won't be as easy for Chad to follow her, but then Reggie tells her no, and that she should go talk to her father. So then we go to Archie, and he is ready to take down the ghoulies again. And he gets help from the Serpents, along with Kevin, who I'm pretty sure has joined the Serpents. And they go to Archie's house with Sheriff Keller, and they literally kick the ghoulies' butt. They barge into the house, they take them all down, and then they find Jingle Jangle and a drug lab in the house. And they are all arrested, and Archie gets back his house. So Archie ends up moving back in, but I'll get to that. So actually Veronica went and asked her father to help her stop Chad from following her, and Hiram says no to Veronica. So Betty finds out that Polly has not worked at the Roving Eye for a year. And then Hiram actually has a plan for Riverdale. He wants to basically make it a ghost town and take it off the map so that his Sodale can thrive. He wants to take away all of the public funding money from Riverdale. So Veronica actually calls Chad it says that Chad is threatened and calls him possessive and controlling, much like her father, and that's when he tells her, no, he won't help her. So we actually see the twins for the first time. Now, they're supposed to be 9 years old, and we know they were still babies during their senior year, but that was wrong. They're actually supposed to be 9. And they're actually red-headed twins. So they have red hair. I guess that's just what happens when you have a Blossom child. And Polly is actually a horrible person. She says that the reason Polly is doing all this stuff is because Betty left. Like, Betty went to college. So Betty actually goes to Archie's house to help him clean up, and they end up having sex in the shower. And I was like, no, 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 no. I do not want that to happen. I hate them together, and even if they do have a relationship, and I'll get into this and then in my next video, because the next video I do, which I will record tomorrow and then be out the next day, is going to be the reaction to the promo, which reveals some things. I don't ship Barchi. I don't ship Barchi. So even if they do date or have a sexual relationship, it won't last. When Betty was talking to Jughead, you could see that there was love there, and they still loved each other. And even when they broke up, they said that they still loved each other. So anyway, they have sex, and they don't make a big deal of it. Like, after, they're like, well, let's not tell anybody. So then Pop Tate retires, and Archie actually gives Pop his varsity jacket. So Tony then asks Cheryl to fund Riverdale High, because the only way to be able to save Riverdale High, because they know that Hiram is going to get all the public money taken away from Riverdale, because so many people are threatened or on his side. So that means that even if they save Riverdale High, they won't have any money to keep it running. So they need to make it a public school. So Tony asks Cheryl to fund it. And Cheryl originally says no, because she still feels bad for all the bad things her family did, and that she still doesn't deserve Tony. And apparently she doesn't even have much money to do the renovations for Thornhelm. But then Tony says, if you won't do it for Riverdale, at least do it for me, because you still love me and all that. And so Cheryl finally agrees, and she agrees to fund Riverdale High. So then Archie has Betty, Veronica, and Jughead all meet him in the student lounge at Riverdale High. They apparently snuck in there. Kevin probably had a key, so they probably actually didn't sneak in there. And Archie says that they need to become the teachers of Riverdale High. And after hesitation, they one by one agree. He convinces them all. They all have reasons that they can't stay. Veronica says she's married. Jughead says he's writing a book. Betty says she needs to get back to Quantico. Well, then he says, to Jughead, I can't remember what he said to the girls, but he says to Jughead, you said that the only place you can write is Pop's. So Betty agrees, because she needs to stay for Polly and her mom. And then Jughead agrees, and then Veronica agrees. So they all decide to become teachers. And Betty, it's actually sort of been revealed that she's going to be the shop teacher, because in a audition video that someone released, it's someone calls the teacher Miss Cooper and is teaching, or no, they ask about her serial killer brother, and so it's a shop class. Archie's going to be teaching ROTC, which isn't a class, so he might be teaching. He'll probably also be the football coach, because it looks like that's what happens, and then he might also teach gym or something. Because apparently Kevin, it's revealed that Kevin actually is teaching like 5 different subjects, economics, drama, gym, sex ed, and then something else that I can't remember. Jughead will probably teach English, and then actually people didn't know what Veronica would teach, but she could teach business. They offer business classes in high school, like Foundations of Tech, Independent Living, all teach you how to manage your money. So that would be a good job for her. So then we have the board meeting of Riverdale High, and Tony actually talks, and she says that they have they found someone to fund them, and Cheryl's actually sitting. So in the promo picture, it didn't look like Cheryl was at the board meeting, but she was. She's the person who's actually funding it. And Tony reveals that Riverdale will actually now be a public school, but a tuition-free public school because they now have funding from Cheryl. And then she says that they have found teachers to help. And then this is how she announces them. The teachers will be Sergeant Archie Andrews, FBI trainee and Yale graduate Betty Cooper, businesswoman and Barnard graduate Veronica Gecko, and acclaimed author Forsyth Pendleton Jones III. And you can see Hiram's face is like, they didn't. So then Hiram says his last thing is mayor, because I guess without Riverdale being a town, Hiram will no longer be mayor of Riverdale. Now, the show can't be called Riverdale if there is no Riverdale, so they're going to figure out a way to regain control of the town. And I kind of want someone to run against him as mayor. Because if someone runs against him as mayor, they can do the town. So maybe someone will. So he makes them vote about who's against dissolving Riverdale as a town, and all the gang raise their hands, and a couple people on the board, and then who's for it, and a lot of other people raise their hand, and it looked like it was about even, but Kyra made the final decision, and so Riverdale was actually dissolved as a town and made unincorporated. And the worst thing is that Reggie actually voted for Riverdale to not be a town anymore, but the show can't be called Riverdale without a town called Riverdale, so someone's going to reclaim the town. So then Jughead eventually gets a call from his publisher, or his agent, and Jughead had sent him a script. He wrote a speech for Pop's retirement, and he sent that to his publisher to get him off, or his agent to get him off his back. But apparently the publishers actually loved it, and they tell Jughead that he needs to write a story about Riverdale becoming a ghost town, and about the people in the town, and he can't because his last book apparently made people hate him, especially the serpents. But his agent says he has no choice, so that's going to come back to bite him in the butt. But I think Betty is going to be the person who stands by him. So then at the end, Jughead actually moves in with Archie. I guess he was tired of living in the bunker. And then at the very end, Betty calls Polly, and Polly doesn't answer. And then we see Polly is running away from the lonely highway killer. Now I've been reading a lot of theories about who people think the Cashback Killer is and the Lonely Highway Killer. I think they're the same person. They might not be, but I definitely think one of them is Betty's boyfriend, Glenn. A lot of people think that it's the Trash Bag Killer, which would actually be a twist. Now, they would introduce the Trash Bag Killer as somebody that Betty was captured by and then held captive for 2 weeks and then escaped. And then he just disappeared without him coming back. But Glenn could also be the Lonely Highway Killer. So far, because we all know Riverdale likes to do a little mystery that always includes death. Season 1, we had the death of Jason Bloss, and Season 2 was the Black Hood murders. So a lot of people died. Season 3 was the Gargoyle King, which resulted in a lot of deaths. It wasn't someone killing somebody. It was people poisoning themselves because they needed to ascend, but it was still someone controlling what people were doing, so deaths. And then Season 4 had the Stonewall murders, which was not current, but I mean, people were dying currently, but no one was being murdered. And then also had the tapes that turned out to just be nothing, but and then Jughead's death, but he was not actually dead. And then the beginning of season 5 had the preppies being murdered. So they introduced both the trash bag killer and the lonely highway killer. So I think they're going to be a big mystery. In the next episode, I think the synopsis says that they try and go save Polly. I really hope Jughead gets in on that, because Jughead actually always helped Betty solve the mysteries. He helped her with the Black Hood. So did Archie. I mean, they all kind of helped, but Betty and Jughead really saved the town from the Gargoyle King and everything like that. So yeah, it was a good episode. I really did like it. Did not appreciate the Archie kiss sex. But it was okay. Really excited for the next episode because it's called Back to School, and we see them as teachers. I'm really excited to see what they all teach. So I did do a video a week ago, I guess, 2 weeks ago, about some sneak peek scenes, and they're probably going to be in the next episode, because they were the Back to School. The dance scene with Cheryl and the other girl might not be in the next episode, but it will be in a soon episode. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I post my Riverdale recaps every Thursday. If there's a Riverdale episode on Wednesday, and then I post the promo reaction on Friday. But before I go, I do want to mention something. So I might do my promo reactions a little differently, because on one of them I got copywritten because I showed the WB, or it's owned by WB TV, because WB used to be the CW. And I got copywritten. I mean, my video is still public. I just won't earn money if I do earn money. So it's because I showed video audio owned by the WB TV. But then another video I posted of the promo reaction, which I used the promo, I didn't get copywritten. Actually, I posted 2 that were owned by from the same place. One of them I actually said I do not own the rights to any characters, and the other one I didn't. So I might, in my promo reaction video, what I might do is I might put the link to the promo in the description so you guys can go watch it, and then I'll watch it, and then I just, when I'm watching the video to react to the clips that I want to react to, I just won't show it. But I haven't decided if I'm actually going to do that. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I'm wearing my Jughead shirt. Jughead Jones was here. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my video. And please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!